May I have your attention, please? If you have not done so at this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers, and please sign in. Thank you.
God is good.
All right, good morning. This meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is being held at the offices of the Louisiana Tax Commission at 1051 North 3rd Street, Suite 225, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The date is Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018, and the time is 10:01 a.m. Please call the roll.
Chairman Shahardy.
Here.
Commissioner Wagspat.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Vercher.
Here.
Commissioner Wood.
Here.
5 present and a quorum.
Thank you. There being no old business to take up at this time, I'll accept a motion for the approval of the minutes of the May 16, 2018 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagspat.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner West.
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes. We'll now take up consideration of change orders.
Chelsea Sochet with the Louisiana Tax Commission. There are a total of 375 change orders for today's meeting. Staff has reviewed and recommends that the Commission approve 333 and place 42 under pending status per Appraisal Department review.
Is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendation?
I would move that we accept the staff recommendation to approve 333 change orders and place 42 on pending status.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagspat.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner West.
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes. The Commission will now consider tax sale cancellations.
We have 5 tax sale cancellations for today's meeting. 3 for St. Tammany, 1 lack of notification, 2 dual assessments, 1 for East Baton Rouge, erroneously sold, 1 for Washington Parish, was not taken off of tax rolls, burned down. Staff has reviewed and recommends the Commission approve all tax sale cancellations.
We have a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion we approve the tax sale cancellations as recommended by staff.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagspat.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner West.
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes. Thank you. We'll now have a presentation, discussion, and update on the duplicate homestead exemption pilot program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Charles Davis, Administrator, Louisiana Tax Commission. As you know, several months back, we asked a company, or we got with a company to look into duplicate homestead exemptions and also possible homestead exemptions that taxpayers should not be receiving. We did this in 2013 because we were asked by Representative Helena Marino to look into this through a resolution on how to resolve these issues. We also was asked by the legislative auditor in 2014 to try to looking to resolve these possible duplicates and homestead exemptions being received by taxpayers that should not be. Since then, we got with a group, TLO, TransUnion, to look into this, and we have found through 400 samples that we looked at, we've found 224. We've looked at 224 out of the 400 so far, and we found that 32 out of those 224 have issues. We've used their investigative tool to look into it as well, so we're very certain that these should not be receiving the homestead exemption, or they have duplicates. Out of that total tax dollars that would be saved is $60,000. We feel that this certainly is a large number, just out of the 400 sample, and that if we looked at the whole state, it would be a lot more money that could be received by local government. And as you know, 60% of this goes to our local schools, and the other goes to our fire departments and law enforcement, et cetera. So we think it's a very important issue, but we've done what we can. We also presented a bill, I think it's HB 368, to try to do a program that would look at the whole state. I think it went through the House, and then it got to the Senate committee, and it was defeated. So, you know, we're kind of at a stalemate with it. We're going to continue to process the 400 we have here, and I'll continue to give you updates on it. And I'm here to answer any questions or concerns.
So the staff has reviewed 224 so far.
Yes, sir.
Of the 400, and found, what, roughly 15% of those, 32 of them with possible issues that
Yes, sir.
appear to be problematic.
Yes, sir. And we will be sending out a questionnaire, a letter and questionnaire for these taxpayers to fill out initially. They have 15 days to get it back to us. Once we review that information and see that if we made a mistake or not, then we're going to send it to our assessor and then give them a, which I'll discuss with you, how many days we want to give them to respond to us, and and go from there. We can go back 5 years. I've spoken to our attorney, Mr. Hoffman, and there's a statute out there that gives us the right to go back 5 years. So we went from 2017 to 2014, where a lot of these were duplicates, and in actually 2018, the role has not been created, so they'd actually have a savings at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 6 years of possible savings.
And as you mentioned, we asked that a legislation be introduced regarding this matter. This is something that the Tax Commission, I believe, could do on its own, except for the cost involved.
Yes.
It would be extremely expensive, and given our excessive budget restraints that we currently have, facing, what, a 25% budget cut based on the legislation that was passed, albeit vetoed by the governor. It was a 25% cut, so there is no budget yet for the next fiscal year. It's not something that the commission can afford to do as far as this study is concerned. This legislation would have allowed for the collection of a fee that would have provided the funding, both from the standpoint of the office of the tax commission administering this program, as well as being able to pay a vendor, whoever that might be, to do the study for us. Regrettably, the legislation died in the Senate committee. We did not receive support from the assessors, unfortunately, to do this study. I think we have to see what the remaining 400 are, but just based on what you've done so far, if in fact it's 15%, that's a lot.
Yes,
That's a lot
right.
to be questionable.
Well, Charles, how was the 400 sample pulled? Was it random? Was there a method?
It was a random sampling throughout the state. And they normally, the ones that we have right now, I don't know that we will get more than 32 out of the 400. The other ones are not as, there's codes on there that we look at out of the 400 that give us an idea that, this is a good possibility that it is a double homestead or they should not be receiving it. So the ones that we're going to be looking at now, I'm not sure how many we're going to get out of that. I don't see us getting a lot more out of it, to be honest with you. My understanding in other states, they receive 2%, 1.5%, 2% of their total homestead exemption for the whole state. So I think we got over 1 million homestead exemptions at least. So, it's quite a bit that's probably out there.
Even if you don't find any more, though, we're still sitting at 10%,
Yeah,
10 to
right.
12% if
Right.
you don't find any more.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
or I say if you don't find any more, only
Right.
find 8 more to
Right.
be at 10%.
Sure.
If it's less than 1%, obviously, it may not be worth the expense. But if you're talking, if it's upwards of 10% when it's all said and done, that's a significant number. I mean, on 1 million homestead exemptions, 10% would be 100,000 questionable, which is a lot.
Right.
I think.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, we're going to finish going through all this. Staff will.
Yes.
And,
Well, I think the
we
money.
will certainly address the ones that we do find. ourselves as well as with the local assessors.
Well, I appreciate you. Y'all made, this commission made a very, very good effort to try to resolve this issue that, you know, we've had a lot of complaints over the years. So I think it certainly is worth the money. I mean, we've, you know, like I said, 60,000 right now. It could be going up further. So it certainly has been worth the expense that we paid for local government.
Yeah. Any other questions or input? All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abels. Thank you very much. All right. All right, at this time, we will move ahead on our appeal docket this morning. The first appeal is the appeal of Lucas Zakari versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Docket number 17-22172-017. What I'm going to ask is anyone who is intending to testify this morning to please come forward to the table to be sworn in as a witness.
Most of you all have done this before. We swear all the witnesses in together. I will administer the oath. Please approach one of the microphones, affirm the oath by stating I do, and state your name for the record. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do. Tad Bolton, Louisiana Tax Commission appraiser.
I do. Casey Alkin.
Russell Amraz, I do.
I do. Mark Gillespie.
Thomas Sandoz, Orleans Parish Assessor's Office, I do.
George Wallace, I do.
All right, thank you. All right, as I said prior to the swearing in, it's an appeal of Lucas Zakari again versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review. It appears that no one is here this morning on behalf of the property owner and taxpayer. So I will ask the assessor's office. Let's go to the assessor's office and make your presentation for us.
Good morning, Commissioners. The assessor's office made multiple efforts to contact the taxpayer. The tax commission staff appraiser's value is $1,300 different from the Board of Review. We feel that this is kind of the definition of a frivolous appeal. They'd never contacted us or responded to any of our attempts to contact them. We asked the commission uphold the BOR's value.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Where's Bernadotte Street?
North Bernadotte Street?
Yeah.
That is, I want to say that is in the 3rd District.
Second?
Okay.
I couldn't find it.
It's going to be in mid-city, sir.
Yeah, I went looking for Bernadotte. That's why I was, and I couldn't find it, and
It's not even in the city.
that's why I was wondering. Maybe.
Looks like the street's in bad shape. Maybe they took the sign down.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. That's a rough street.
Well, we try to keep it that way so no one knows where anything is at in New Orleans.
All right. Mr. Bolton.
Tad Bolton. I'm the appraiser of record. I did. The appraiser my appraisal was. I appraised the property at 306. The land value was 56,300, and the improvement value was 249,700, and the board review is 3,073. I think that's less than 1%.
The streets look pretty terrible.
All the areas.
The comps that you used, are those streets in similarly bad condition?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not that far away. I think the comps are like 1 block to 4 blocks. I mean, I got 2 on Bernadette and 1 on North Hero, which is.
But I mean, the streets in front of those properties.
Oh, they're the same.
The same. Look, they look
yeah.
the same.
It changes halfway up the
Yeah,
street.
'cause the street
it's
weed.
good and it's bad. It's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
it's
were-
fair and it's bad.
Yeah. We went to a funeral a few weeks ago on Franklin Avenue, Baptist Church, and the streets behind the church are horrible. You know, they were. I don't know how people put up with it. I really
You
don't.
get seasick?
What's that?
You get seasick going down.
Oh,
south.
yeah, yeah. You got to be careful. You're gonna either remove your front end or remove the underside of your chassis
Yeah.
of your car if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that the comps were in an area where the streets were in similar condition to the street in
Yeah,
front of the
they're very
subject.
similar, all that areas.
Okay.
Got the same problems.
All right. Well, the staff appraisal certainly supports the value of the assessor's office and the board of review, but we need a motion to,
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes.
move on docket 17-22172-017 that we uphold the parish board of review, set the land value at $56,300, improvement value $251,000 for a total of $307,300.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasback,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner West,
Yes.
and Chairman Shahardi.
yes. Thank you. Just give me one moment. All right, the next item on the agenda is the appeal of Schramm 627 Mandeville LLC versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22173-003. All right. You may proceed.
Do I proceed?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
you-
sorry, it's my first time. I
That's all right, no problem.
apologize.
It's a taxpayer appeal, so
Okay.
I know he works for us, and I know he works for the assessor, so that leaves you,
And I'm all by myself.
and you're all by yourself.
I submitted documents supporting what work needed to be done at the properties. My appeal is just the properties I think are just in horrible condition. There is, on this particular property, you can't see from the outside, you actually have to go in.
Pull your microphone a little bit closer.
Sure. The floors are actually squishy. If you look at some of the paperwork that I submitted, I need elevation work, plumbing work, new roof. I literally have done nothing to the property in years. And it's just wearing itself down
Mhm.
pretty quickly. And I don't know if the squishy floors is water damage or termite damage, because I'm afraid to open it up, because once you open it up, you see everything else that's wrong.
Okay. All right. You're asking for a value of $218,400.
Correct.
Obviously, you disagree with the Board of Review's value, which is a lot
Right.
more. Our staff appraisal is $265,000.
Yeah.
Do you have any feelings about that?
Just simply just the work that needs to be done for that particular property.
Okay.
Again, I don't know if it's, the main problem is whether it's termite damage or water damage. But again, the foundation is messed up, plumbing is messed up, roof is messed up. You don't have electrical there, but electrical's messed up. I mean, nothing has
Is it
been done.
occupied? Is it rented?
Part of it is.
Part of it is.
Part of it is.
So I'm going to assume the part that is rented is in better condition than some of the other part, or not
Con-
really?
I mean, it's the Maroney, so they'll live in a box out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's in better condition than the rest of it, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Okay. I see you've got some estimates for repair work. Do you know how much that totals up to by any chance?
I don't.
I didn't add
It added up to more than what you guys had it valued at.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Is it a triplex?
It is.
So one of the units is rented, or two?
2 of the units is
Two
rented.
units. I'm not sure. Did our staff appraisal get those rents, or we just look at the market?
Well, we could find out
Yeah.
when we get to that. All right. Well, let's hear from the assessor's office.
Good morning again, Commissioners. The assessor's office really has nothing to add for the appeal. We think the Board of Review made the correct decision, but we will respectfully abide by the decision of the Commission.
And so you're asking us to
Uphold the BOR's value.
Board of Review. All right.
So you have any other reasons why we should uphold?
We feel that the Board of Review's valuation was provided by a third-party appraiser, and we feel that information or their value was based on information provided by the taxpayer. We just will abide by that, the council's decision.
But just so you'll know, we don't have anything from the Board of Review in our packet, or nothing that was provided that supports it.
Okay, wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, they don't, if there's appraisals being done on their level or any reports, they're not providing them in this.
We just have a
Okay.
very small synopsis of,
Yeah,
it
what
basically
they
says that, you know.
Well, but we also don't have anything from the assessor's office.
That's right.
As to even where the original number came up from, so.
Sure.
And I brought paperwork to that original appeal.
Pardon me?
I brought documentation to that original
Yeah.
appeal.
Well, we have documentation from you about repair costs.
Oh, okay.
That's included in here, so we do have that. All right, Mr. Gillespie?
Okay, Mark Gillespie with the Tax Commission. I did appraise the property at 627 Mandeville Street, and I put the property in fair condition. As we know, poor condition would be post-Katrina, untouched with vines and so forth growing inside the structure with mold and so forth. So I put it in fair condition. The condition may be a little worse than that. It could be fair poor. So anyway, that, of course, the taxpayer knows more about that than I do. I used the sales approach and the market approach and the income approach on the property. In the sales approach, I found, I believe there were 9 multi-family properties that sold within reasonable distance of the subject. I used essentially the lowest per square foot values of the closest sales. One of them happened to be bank owned, so I did not use that one. And they were, in my opinion, a good representation of the market. And in using the market approach, I came up with a value of $265,000. The income approach, I used 4 sales, and I adjusted. I believe they were in average condition. I adjusted them, the sales price and the rental per square foot price, to fair condition in order to reflect the value of the condition of the subject. And I came up with a value of $273,000. Now, we're looking at a property that's in fair condition, so I've relied upon the sales approach in order to value the property $265,000. The land value, $118,400, is undisputed, and the improvement value, $146,600.
Were you able to go inside this property?
I'm sorry?
Were you able to go inside this
I did
property?
not.
You didn't?
No, sir.
I'm assuming the assessor's office did not visit the property, is that correct?
No, sir, we're not allowed to go inside
Yeah.
the property.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, let me
Yeah.
clarify that. We did a field visit to look at the exterior of the property, but we did not look at the interior of the property.
I understand.
Same here.
Did you object at the Board of Review hearing on the discount? I mean, they only reduced it by 10%, which, based on the information that we have, seems awful low.
I was not involved
Awful
with the Board of
conservative, I should
Review
say. Okay.
appeal, sir. So I wouldn't be able to
Does the taxpayer have any feedback on that?
I do. There was a, Miss Jackson was there, I think, for the tax commission. She didn't agree with my appraisal, but the gentleman that the third party did. And I invited them to come see the property. I didn't know they weren't allowed to because she said they could, and she said we'd be more than happy to. I said great, and then I didn't hear anything until Mr. Mark called me.
Well, I apologize. We're allowed to if the taxpayer invites us in. We just can't go in.
I invited Ms. Jackson, and I didn't hear anything.
Kind of
about it.
assumed that if somebody asked you to come look at the inside, you could do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, based on what's presented, I think our staff appraisal is the most reliable indicator of values. Therefore, I'm going to make a motion to value the, value the land at $265,000.
No.
No, I'm sorry. $118,400, and the improvement value of $146,600 for a total of $265,000.
Second?
Commissioner Varcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagaspat?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes. All right. All right, the next item is the appeal of Shram 610 Mandeville LLC versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22173-004.
This is similar to 627 with an exception of I submitted photographs for the adjuster, and that one, the walls, you can see the walls are bubbling, and there's mold behind that one, and there's vines growing inside and throughout the entire house. Not the entire house, but growing substantially on the house. Obviously, the foundation is an issue, the plumbing, the roof.
Are you the owner? You're the owner?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been owning this property?
Since 2010.
Do y'all have plans to stabilize this property in the future?
We hope to, financially. They're just not, I can't rent them because they're just not in great condition. And we had an issue, we had an additional property that was damaged for other circumstances. That has put us in a funky position. I know that's not the correct wording. A police car hit it.
I got what you meant.
Okay. And this one I didn't submit the mold pictures because I didn't want to remove the hardy board or whatever. It's not hardy board. I don't know what the board is called that's put there.
And how do you know there's mold?
Because I put the board up just to contain it.
Okay. All right. Can hear from the assessor's office.
Same situation as before. We feel we introduced no documentation. We thought that the board review's evaluation was correct, and we respectfully go with the decision by the commission, or abide by the decision of the commission.
So when you go out and you review, do you ask to go in?
We're not going into the property. I went ahead and drove by all these properties, saw that they were currently being used for residences. I couldn't see anything on the inside because I didn't go in and wasn't able to go in. I did not go onto the property itself. Everything that I'm seeing is from the street. I do have some notes on this one that are the deputy assessor that was in the hearing for the board review felt that the value should have been around $200,000, $210,000 due to potential condition issues, but we weren't able to document at the time. That's the only thing that I can add.
This particular property, it's unique, and that's not unique to New Orleans, how it butts up. Everybody shares a property line, but if you went up any side of it, you see the vines, you see the side of the house where the neighbor calls me and is like, you can literally just push on it.
Yeah,
And it's just there.
okay.
The vines, if I kill them, I'm afraid if I kill them, it's all gonna come down.
All right, Mr. Gillespie?
Mark Gillespie, I did appraise the house at 610 Mandeville Street. It's right down the street from the other structure. This particular house is a single-family residence. The other one was multifamily. I put it in fair condition, not knowing much about the mold and so forth. That might have changed had I known that, but fair to poor. I used the sales approach, same situation. I didn't use the same sales that I used in the other report because it's a different type of property, and the square foot size is much different. So I found 12 sales, and I used the lower end of the square foot values, and came up with a market value of $155,000. I used the income approach as well, using the same sales that I used in the previous report, making adjustments for condition, and came up with a value of $153,000. I relied on the market approach just because of the condition of the property.
It looks to me, based on what I've seen, this is a poor or post-Katrina type property based on what I'm hearing and seeing in the photos. Where would that push the value obviously down, but would it be closer to what, well, in your opinion, where would it go?
What would happen is on the sales grid on the market approach, I would make adjustments for condition based on a poor condition, which would be another roughly, it'd be 20% for sale 1, sale 2, and actually 30% for sale 3. So whatever that would be, probably another, let's see, maybe 20, maybe 30, 50, 30,000 maybe on one sale 1. So potentially we'd be looking at 140, about 140 to 145,000.
It'd be a 10% adjustment on the actual value of the subject property.
Well, 20% to sale 1.
And is this a vacant property?
It's not right now.
It's occupied?
Someone's there right now. As far as I know.
So let's see, let me do it quick. I'll do it real quick.
So someone is there, but they're not paying rent?
Yeah, paying
Correct.
rent? Okay, that's the difference.
And it's empty. I mean, he's got like a bed in there. It's empty.
I think Mr. Gillespie's running some numbers, am I
Yeah,
correct?
let's let him run that.
Yeah, let's let you run those numbers.
Let's see, 50, 264.
So if you cut the vines, you're afraid it might fall down?
And I don't know where the vines come from, because we've actually cut them once before, but there's like 5 backyards that butt up to this property. We have no idea where they come from. And the way that it runs up, it runs into 3 of the sides of the house. And the one side closest to Wallace, and I don't know what his address is, he would be, I guess, 612 Mandeville. That's where the wall is really coming down. And he also has the back of my property somehow, and it's coming down that way. I'm afraid when it dies, like that's holding it together, because it's, like I went there and took pictures the other day, and it's not being held up very well. But the vines are helping.
I was at a distress sale one time, an auction, and the guy holding the sale said that this particular property, if the termites quit holding hands, that it would collapse.
Well, that's kind of how I feel about the vines.
He was still able to sell it. We're just chit-chatting to buy time for Mr.
Yes, sir.
Gillespie.
I mean, the vines are pretty at times, but
Yeah.
it just, I guess the moisture, it just kills whatever's on there, and it does, the AC units don't care for it much, but it is pretty.
I would end up at roughly 138,831. I would round that to 140. So about 140,000.
So you said 138 and some change?
Yeah, but if I were doing my appraisal, I would round it to 140. But the actual number, the mean value would be 138,831. 138,831, and that's making the.
So we'll say 139.
Yes, sir.
We'll split the baby.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Need a motion?
Did you do the math, Mike?
I think Mike did the math.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Based on the revised, I'm prepared to make a motion
Sure.
on appeal of Stram, 610 Mandeville LLC, docket number 17-22173-004. Based on the adjustment of the condition to poor after testimony and pictures were provided, I'll make a motion to value this property for land $26,600, the improvements $112,400 for a total of $139,000.
Second?
Commissioner Vercher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagenspat?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy?
Yes. All right, the next item on the agenda, the appeal of Schramm 2401 Royal LLC versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22173-005. All right.
This property is
Yeah.
in the worst condition of all of them. I do have someone there that stays there. She does not pay any rent. I live over an hour and a half away. She helps me get people who are squatting in the properties out if I need her assistance with that, but it's holding on by a thread. It's not a original home. It's a, I think it's a Sears home, I think is what they called it when I looked it up. And it's the same house that was there when they placed it on that ground however long ago.
You're requesting a value of $110,000 on your appeal form, and I believe that's the staff's valuation. Am I correct? Ms.
Yes, sir.
Gillespie?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
The assessor's office agrees with
Yeah.
the staff appraisal value.
Y'all agree?
Okay. Let's just
Okay.
put that in the record, and,
All right. Real quick, Mark Gillespie.
well, he agrees.
Okay, but would you like for me to? Okay.
No.
Okay.
She's asking for 110.
Yeah.
He's agreeing with 110,
Right.
so let's get you on the record, and then we'll be done.
I did appraise the property at 2401 Royal Street using the market approach. The undisputed land value is $51,200. The improvement value $58,800 with a total value of $110,000.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Very well.
In the matter of docket number 17-22173-005, Schramm 2401 Royal LLC versus Orleans Parish Board of Review, I would move that we set the land value at $51,200, improvements at $58,800 for a total fair market value of $110,000.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagenspat?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now We don't think you need to. I mean, there's nobody, taxpayer's not here, so. No, don't forget to, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna go out and just step outside. No, no, no.
Okay, next appeal on the agenda is item J. I think the next three that G, H, and I have either settled or withdrawn. Item J, appeal of Fairways Office Building LLC versus Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22172-006. Anybody here on behalf of the taxpayer? Not present, so we'll let the assessor go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thomas Sandoz, Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. Subject property is located at 1000 Royal Street. It's on the corner of Royal and St. Philip in the heart of the French Quarter. The taxpayer visited our office in 2016 for the 2017 tax year during the open roll period. Presented some documentation to the assessor's office in terms of an appraisal and some insurance information. We reduced the value at that time to its current value of $1,056,800.
Say that again? 1,000,000?
$56,800, and that was for the 2017 tax year.
Okay.
Our office revalued the entire French Quarter for the 2018 tax year, and on this particular property, the only change that was made was that we increased the land value to make it uniform with the rest of the French Quarter, and actually reduced the building value to keep the $1,056,800 total that was previously agreed to by the assessor's office and the taxpayer the same. As a result, the taxable assessment on the building actually decreased.
Okay, give us the breakdown of land and improvements, because our sheet shows a value of $1,151,200 is what I see, correct?
Well, I think
on the appeal
big
sheet.
in one, I think that value was prior to.
When they make mistakes on this,
Okay.
they're corrected.
Do y'all reduce
They
it?
don't
Well,
follow.
So the land is 113,100.
the building is at 943,700.
Okay.
Where there may be some confusion, the property is a mixed-use building,
Okay.
so we have the assessment split in terms of residential and commercial. It's
Okay.
80% residential, 20% commercial. So that may be where the confusion comes in if you go back from the assessed side and try to do the building value. So basically, the taxpayer had agreed to the current value, the current total value. We raised the land and lowered the building. He appealed to the BOR, did not show up to the hearing, provided no documentation whatsoever, and then appealed to the tax commission. So the assessor's office's position is that there's no basis for this appeal. And we would ask that the tax commission uphold the BOR's decision.
So he came in, agreed to the number.
He came in
Y'all
in
reduced the
calendar,
assessment.
he came in calendar year 16 for tax year 17. We reduced it based on the documentation he presented, and he agreed to that. The following year, for the following tax year, the 2018 tax year, we revalued the entire French Quarter. And the only change that was made to this property was we increased the land, decreased the building to keep the agreed upon total the same. And the total taxable assessment actually decreased. So again, we would ask that the commission uphold the Board of Review's decision, which upheld our value.
Okay. We'll have the staff appraisal presented now.
Okay, good morning, George Wallace, Louisiana Tax Commission. I physically inspected the subject property on around March 27th of 2018. The uncontested land value is supported through the vacant land comparables at $70 a square foot, or $113,100. I did a sales comparison on the property. Based on comparables in the area, I came up with a total value of $947,000, which would be $113,100 to the land $833,600 to the improvements. And I also did an income approach to value and came up with $943,000. And I correlated the two approaches to $945,000 for a total of $831,900 for the improvements and $113,100 for the land.
And just doing some quick math, I think that's right at 10% of the assessor's appraisal or assessment.
Within 10%?
Approximately, yes.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But then again, you know, the taxpayer did not provide any documentation.
Yeah.
He did not show up for the board of review hearing, and he's not here today. And he agreed to the current valuation that we have on the property back in 2017.
2017. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And again, the only change that was made was the land was increased, the building was reduced to keep the agreed upon total the same.
And that
And the
reduced the taxes.
assessment actually went down.
All right.
I'm ready to make a motion. In the matter of the appeal of Fairways Office Building LLC versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22172-006, given that the LTC staff appraisal is within 10% of the Board of Review amounts, it looks like it upholds what the Board of Review actually decided, and I would move that we set the land at $113,100, improvements at $94,700, for a total value $1,056,800, upholding the Parish Board of Review.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagensback?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahart? Not present.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item K, appeal of Crystal Hotard has been continued to June 27th, so we will hear that matter. We also, at the conclusion of this hearing, I'll go ahead and read into the record. The Tax Commission hereby accepts all pre-filed documents and oral testimony into the record as Taxpayer Exhibit 1 in Globo, Assessor Exhibit 1 in Globo, and LTC Staff Appraiser Exhibit 1 in Globo for each appeal hearing conducted today respectfully. If there are no other matters to come before us, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagensback?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahart?
All right, let's start this.
Vote yes? Okay.
Yeah, give them a second.